It is a breezy morning in October, and the campus is bustling with activity. Students are walking to class, chatting with friends, and grabbing a quick bite to eat before their first lecture. The sun is shining brightly, and the air is crisp and cool. The leaves on the trees are starting to change color, creating a beautiful tapestry of red, orange, and yellow. A group of students are sitting on a bench outside the library, enjoying the morning sunshine. They are laughing and talking about their plans for the weekend. Another group of students are walking to their first class, which is on the other side of the campus. They are discussing the previous night's homework assignment and trying to figure out what the professor will be talking about today. Tay entered his classroom, keeping his book against his chest. He sighed after not seeing his best friends there. He walked to his seat and sat down, feeling a pang of loneliness. Tay, I guess I have to wait a little more, he thought, sitting on his usual seat, looking out of the window, waiting for his best friend's arrival. Tay smiled when he felt someone closing his eyes from behind. Tay, Jimin, he said, feeling excited as he turned towards the latter. Jimin, how do you find out every time, Tay? Tay, I have my ways, he giggled, winking at his best friend. Jin, use your common sense, Jimin. He has no friends except us, and only you have the habit of closing our eyes. Jimin, anyways, did you complete the homework? Jimin asked, taking out his notebook. Yes, Tay smiled. Jin, we had a homework? Why didn't you tell me before? Jin quickly said, taking out his notebook, and Jimin was laughing at Jin. Jin, stop smiling, Jimin. And Tay, can I copy your homework? Jin, so what's our weekend plan? Tay, pajama party at my dorm as usual. We'll be singing, dancing, watching binge dramas and movies, and eating pizzas. Tay says, getting a light smack from Jin on his head. Tay pouted, rubbing his head. Jin, you're so boring. We need to do something adventurous, Jin says while smiling excitedly, and Jimin nodded his head. Tay, adventurous? Jin, have anyone heard about the Crestmont Villa? Jimin, that creepy looking villa which is fully burnt? Jin, exactly. Jimin, I heard that even securities don't stay at that place more than 2 days. They said that they even heard a man's loud cries at midnight coming from that villa. Sometimes they even witnessed someone getting burned inside that villa. They, God, that's so spooky, he mumbled, rubbing his hands on his arms. They sat in silence for a moment, each of them lost in their own thoughts. Jin, so, wanna explore that haunted villa this weekend? Tay, are you out of your mind? Jimin, I'm coming because I'm not a coward like him. Jin, that's more like my Jimin. Tay, you can go if you want, but don't include me into this. Jin, you're coming with us, it's an order. Tay, I don't care. Jimin, baby please, pretty baby please. Tay, this won't work, so stop it. Jin, I think I have no other choice other than telling Yunwoo that you have a cute little crush on him. Tay, don't you dare. Tay, I'm coming, and anyways, I need to ask permission from my dad because I don't want my warden to complain to my dad. Jimin and Jin laughed, hugging him. Tay was sitting in his dad's study waiting for him while getting bored, and he started to look at his dad's property papers, but one thing caught his eyes. My dad owns Crestmont Villa? Tay said in his mind, looking at the files. Tay couldn't believe it. He had always heard stories about the haunted villa, but he never thought that his dad would own it. His dad smiled while entering his study room, and Tay quickly hid the papers behind the desk. Dad, Tay said while hugging him. What brings you here? Because you never visit your dad? Mr. Kim said while pinching his red cheeks. It's not like that, Dad. I'm just stuck with my studies. And Dad, can I go to Jin's cousin's pajama party this weekend? I'll come back to my dorm before 3 am. Pretty please. Tay said cutely while showing his cute smile. Come back safely, okay? His dad said before tapping his cheeks lightly. And Dad, do you know anything about the Crestmont Villa? Tay muttered softly. He noticed that his dad's expressions changed and he looked terrified. Listen, Tay, his dad said holding his arms. Never think about going to that haunted place. Teenagers like you have gone to explore that place, but they never came back. But what happened to them? He asked out of curiosity. I don't know, but it's not worth the risk. The villa is haunted. There are evil spirits. Tay was shocked. He had never heard that anyone had disappeared from that villa before. Yeah, Dad, Tay stuttered while looking down on his shoes. He swallowed hard. He didn't know what to believe, but he could tell that his dad was serious. Okay, Dad, he said, I won't go to that villa. His dad nodded. That's good, he said. Now promise me that you will never talk about this to anyone else. I promise, Dad. Tay said sadly, resting his palm over his dad's palm, already feeling bad for lying to his dad. His dad let go of his arms and smiled. Good boy, now let's go get some dinner. It was currently 12 am, and the three friends were standing outside the Crestmont Villa, and Tay was clutching onto them like a koala. God, please save me. Tay chanted a religious mantra which was taught by his late mom. Stop being a scaredy cat and come, let's go inside. Jin exclaimed, already feeling annoyed by Tay's childish behavior, and Jimin nodded his head. Slow down, Jin. You're going too fast. Tay murmured, clutching Jimin's palm tightly. Jin stepped inside the living room. He saw the living room had a chandelier hanging down from the ceiling. The room was filled with old furniture. The furnitures were covered in a thick layer of dust. Some of the furniture was burnt and scorched, as if it had been in a fire. Tay was about to follow Jin into the living room. When he stopped, he heard a deep voice whisper his name in his ear.
Taehyung.
I guess a happy couple used to live here, but I don't know what happened with them. Tay pouted, getting sad thinking about the dead couple. He gasped and he opened his eyes, but the image was gone. He shook his head and tried to forget about it. but the image kept coming back to him. Tay came out of his trance when he heard Jin's voice calling for him. He quickly ran outside the room, brushing the thought away from his mind. Where were you? Jimin asked in concern, with a frown on his face. I was exploring a room. Tay smiled. Jin took an Ouija board out of his bag. Jin, I brought an Ouija board with me because we are going to call a spirit. 12 a.m. is also known as devil hours. Jin muttered excitedly.
Come, let's have a nice talk then.